Hello, and thank you for joining us on Weather Out West. It is Wednesday, December 17th. I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti, and here's what we are tracking for you today. Extreme weather is still wreaking havoc across western Washington. Hundreds of thousands are without power as strong wind gusts causing widespread power outages. And on top of that, Seattle is looking at more rain today. 9 rivers are under flood warnings, and as communities along the Skagit River are told to be ready to evacuate once again as rivers rise. And
If you get an evacuation order, for God's sakes, follow it.
Washington Governor Ferguson warns that flooding crisis is far from over, the millions of dollars in emergency aid now being unlocked. And then there's San Diego with sunshine and 70s in the forecast. We will get to them later, but first let's focus on the high impact weather on the West Coast today. Welcome to Weather Out West, the hour-long show where we showcase what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. We will begin today in Seattle as they enter their 8th day of first alert weather coverage. Heavy rain and intense wind are now creating a new problem: power outages. Overnight, a large tree in Tacoma toppled, crashing into a home in Tacoma's Fern Hill neighborhood. Seattle's Savannah Welch has more.
We've been out here for a couple of hours, but crews have been out here for more than 4 to 5 hours since early this morning trying to remove this huge tree. It looks like it uprooted next to the house, taking out the front part of the house. We originally thought it landed on it, but it looks like it uprooted and then went to the wayside there, blocking this whole street, which is why the road is closed. The good news, we're told the 2 people living here were not injured and were able to safely get out. This is all on South 82nd Street here in Tacoma. See the damage though, crashed over that fence, also taking out the front part of the house. Here's a closer look at the tree from when we shot some video a little bit earlier this morning. Tacoma Fire said the call came in around 1:50 for this large, nearly 100-foot cedar tree coming down. Puget Sound Energy tells me the roots of the tree broke a gas line, causing a gas leak. When we got here around 4 a.m., PSE said they'd already shut off the gas. Several crews have been here coming in throughout the morning, working to remove the tree. Again, this road here, South 82nd Street, is blocked for safety. They also said there were some power lines back out here live down that way. Down further down the street, that came down also, and so that's another big concern here. So they're trying to keep people off the road. That's why this is all closed, as they're continuing their work efforts here and trying to get things back up and running and remove this tree as quickly as possible. Looks like everyone here has power still, at least, so that's good. But I know there's a lot of other people in the community here throughout Puget Sound that are facing outages. So at least here looks like there's power, but obviously recovery efforts are still ongoing. We'll be out here for another hour or so, keeping an eye on things and let you know if we learn any new information. In Tacoma, Savannah Welch, King 5 News.
Now let's go to Seattle's Drew Andre, where fallen trees in Des Moines are responsible for taking out power lines there.
This is just one example here on Kent Des Moines Road, which has the westbound lanes closed right now, and it's all because of this large tree that splintered off in a few different directions and right on top of these power lines here on Kent Des Moines Road. So all morning long, the westbound lanes of Kent Des Moines Road from 10th Avenue South to Marine View Drive have been closed off because of this. Right here, as you can see, just all of the different branches that splintered off. And there is a tree crew that is here on scene, but they're going to have to wait for Puget Sound Energy to get out here before they're able to safely clear the area. So because of that, right now traffic's having to be diverted in this area a bit. There's a couple hundred customers that have been without power, all because of this incident right here. But again, this is just one example of many around the region.
And evacuation orders are still in place for parts of Pacific in Washington after an overnight levee breach along the White River. First responders went door to door early Tuesday, waking up people and telling them to get out now. Several homes in Pacific are still threatened by the dam-controlled White River, which is expected to remain elevated for days. The mayor says families likely won't be able to return home until at least the weekend. And we do want to get to the Seattle forecast now. It is windy, that to say the least. You saw that damage that Drew and Savannah both showed you. Wind has been the big story. It is going to start to calm down now, though. So if we take a look at the forecast, we can see that it has been windy. These are the gusts reported since midnight in the state of Washington, western Washington. 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts have been widespread, surpassing 50 miles per hour along the coast and also in Leavenworth as well. So a very blustery day so far, but the wind will start to calm down as we look forward. This is 3:30 this afternoon. Still a little bit breezy around Puget Sound, but off to the east, it stays a little bit stronger longer. Then it calms down later on tonight. This is 9 p.m. Still a light breeze out there, but nothing compared to those 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts that we saw overnight last night. Looking forward into Thursday, it does look like we'll see another breezy afternoon and evening on Thursday night. Still not as bad as overnight last night, but it is going to pick up just a tiny bit. Satellite and radar imagery showing that things have calmed down after a wet Tuesday night. A couple showers are still around in Washington this afternoon, and we also do have a little bit of snow still falling over the Cascades. Looks like the South Cascades around Mount Rainier, we're seeing a little bit of snow, and then a little bit up north of that as well. We do still have a blizzard warning that is going to be expiring here shortly. This is a pretty rare occurrence. This is the 6th one ever issued by the National Weather Service out of Seattle. And this is not just because of snow, but it's because of wind as well. Prolonged period of blowing snow that creates whiteout conditions, and that is why they issued that blizzard warning. It didn't necessarily come to fruition. Things did hold off a little bit, but a look from Mount Rainier this Wednesday morning shows that there is snow there on the ground, fresh snow. With this perspective just a day ago was showing wet conditions. There is a blanket of fresh snow though. So that is great news for the Washington Cascades because Washington's snowpack has been hurting so far this year. With the last week and a half of wet and warm weather, we've seen a lot of the little bit of snowpack that there was on the mountains melt off. So this is a great step in the right direction. Part of the reason we have seen no snowpack is because it's been too warm. In fact, Tuesday, SeaTac, Seattle's airport, hit 55 degrees in the afternoon. Actually, most of the day was in the mid-50s. That's close to 10 degrees warmer than normal for this time of year. Overnight low was 47 degrees. That's 10 degrees warmer than the lows as well. So much warmer than normal for this time of year. But into the end of this week, those temperatures will be cooling down back to seasonal conditions, and that is going to pave the way for snow chances. For the remainder of Wednesday in Puget Sound and western Washington, we're looking at temperatures staying in the 40s. Clouds will be building into the evening, and some light rain chances move in tonight. It was wet on Tuesday night, but that rain has tapered off. This is a look at the 24-hour rain totals, about 1 to 1.5 inches at best. And another thing that Washington has been keeping an eye on is river flooding. This is a look at rivers that are expected to crest this afternoon. The worst we're seeing now is moderate flood stage. The Puyallup River is okay. The Skagit River near Concrete was the one river that was showing potential major flood stage reached, but at this point that actually has backed off, and now it looks like the worst it will get is moderate flood stage, which is at as of Wednesday morning. And then it will start to go down. Same thing, the Cedar River at Renton is at flood stage and is expected to go down as well. All of these rivers also expected to hit moderate flood stage in red there. That's the Snohomish River in Snohomish and Monroe. Those are some of the areas that were really hit last week. The Skykomish and Gold Bar, the Snoqualmie River near Carnation, and once again, the Skagit River near Mount Vernon. So these are just some of the rivers that are going to hit moderate flood stage but compared to last week. Much improved because last week most of these were at major flood stage. So that is a good step in the right direction. And we will calm things down moving forward. As we head into the rest of the day, we'll hold on to some light showers for western Washington. A little bit of snow still falling over the Cascades, but then we have another disturbance that moves in on Thursday. So Thursday, this is going to bring heavy rain, but most of it will stay south of Seattle. So this is actually going to be impacting Oregon more so than Washington, but we will see some of that rain creeping up into western Washington on Thursday. in the afternoon, and that continues into Thursday night. Friday afternoon, we're going to continue to watch a little bit of snow falling. No significant accumulations at once, but we will slowly but surely chug along and add a little bit of snow to our snowpack. And that's going to be the case into the weekend. We see things warm up a little bit with this atmospheric river. This is a wide view there. You see it projected toward Oregon, but then into the weekend, this is showing 7:30 on Saturday morning. You see that we have that colder air mass dropping down from the northwest. That's going to keep things colder. That will keep that snow door open, and that continues into the weekend. This is getting you into Monday's daytime hours. Snow will continue to fall over Washington mountains and into Oregon as well. Also, it looks like it'll be a good chance off to the east as well in Idaho. So that is a great step in the right direction. Washington's snowpack before this had next to nothing. It was an incredibly abysmal perspective for the mountains. So King 5 is going to let first alert weather status drop on Wednesday afternoon, and then we will see calm conditions for the remainder of the week. Then Sunday is the official winter solstice. So that is when we will ring in the new season, and it will feel like it in Washington. Highs in the 40s with lows in the 30s. All right, well, this morning a level 2 get set evacuation is now in place along the Skagit River, which you just heard mention, as it's poised to crest once again at moderate stage. Releases are ongoing after the lower Baker Dam just up from concrete. Meantime, officials warned of a landslide on Lake Shannon Road. One of Seattle's photojournalists tried to check it out, but found the road impassable before even getting there. The ongoing threats in Skagit County prompted Washington Task Force 1, which is based in Pierce County, to pack up and head north to help.
It's really terrible to see what a natural disaster can do to people and large numbers of people. So it's really heartbreaking, but we always come at it with an attitude that we're going to come in and do the best we can to help.
Some good news, the Skagit River is now expected to stay below major flood stage as it crests in concrete in Mount Vernon. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson is calling the state's flooding one of the most devastating disasters in Washington's history. The Red Cross estimates the crisis area spans more than 123,000 square miles. The governor is expanding his emergency declaration to include 14 counties, activate cash and benefit assistance programs, and make millions of dollars immediately available for disaster relief. In addition, he's requesting more federal help.
So what we're working on is a major disaster declaration. That's what unlocks significant financial resources for individuals and for local governments and the state for the impacts that will no doubt be profound from a financial standpoint.
The Coast Guard and National Guard are also working to support first responders from the air and on the ground. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, your forecast from Boise, and we'll head to the other side of the state and see how Spokane is looking. The wind is blowing in eastern Washington as well. We are going to go now to meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane with the windy forecast in eastern Washington.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington, and we just experienced one of our strongest windstorms of all time in the inland northwest. Wind speeds being reported above 80 miles per hour in some cases, and high wind warnings remain in effect today until 4 this afternoon. Now, while the maximum wind speeds were felt at about 6 a.m., the rest of the day will still have strong to near severe winds closer to 60 miles per hour for the remainder of the day. So more power outages and tree damage is looking likely. As for our maximum wind speeds, right as the point of attack of the cold front of this windstorm passed through, we saw wind speeds that are rarely ever seen in eastern Washington and North Idaho. And leading the way, it was Lewiston, Idaho, with an 84 mile per hour wind speed. To put that into context, for tornado scales, EF1 starts at 86 miles per hour. So it is almost to the point where we could call this tornado-like winds, albeit straight line winds from this particular windstorm. Pullman also had above 80 mile per hour wind speeds reported, and in Spokane at 75 miles per hour. That is now a new record for fastest wind speeds ever recorded. That does beat out two of our previous largest windstorms. That was back in 2021 and 2015. Now in 2015, the anemometer actually broke in that case, so it could have been faster on that particular November day, but this time at 75 miles per hour, that is the fastest wind speed Spokane has ever recorded in history. The tree damage is extensive in the region. We take you to Coeur d'Alene, where you see a couple of very, very large trees having toppled over, either over roads or in this case, taking the fence along with it. At one point, over 100,000 people without power in the inland Northwest just for this morning. And that was caused by all these extremely strong and damaging winds. The power outages has always been the primary concern out of this windstorm, and it's still possible to see that number climb just because these wind speeds will continue to be constant for the remainder of the day. While we don't get 70 or 80 mile per hour wind speeds any longer, anything at 50 or 60 miles per hour could still topple over one or two more trees, especially if they're just barely hanging on by a thread. Any push in the right or wrong direction could still cause some of those trees to drop down. So tree damage and power outages not only currently being felt in eastern Washington, but will still be an issue for the remainder of the day. Though our wind speeds will back off to this 50 to 60 mile per hour range as opposed to this more insane 75 or almost 80 mile per hour wind speeds that we had at about 6 o'clock this morning. Meanwhile, there are also blizzard conditions in the Cascades, and you will likely hear more about that out with our Seattle meteorologists. So here's the windstorm positioning, classic for the inland Northwest. The wind is actually rushing away all of that rain or even mountain snow in our region. While we have a sunny day, it's not exactly going to be very enjoyable or comfortable because of those high winds and dropping temperatures today. We'll see more chances for rain and snow later in the week.
My goodness, Thomas, a lot to keep track of. Thank you. Not far away, Idaho is also feeling the wet and windy weather. This is a widespread storm. Hector Mendoza has the details from Boise.
Well, we've had severe weather hit us across southwest Idaho. This is a look at Valley County, specifically McCall, with some of the lightning and some of the thunderstorms that we saw early on this morning. We also saw winds really starting to pick up. And for many of these spots that got a lot of this wind, we are having power outages, lots of damage as we are seeing some downed trees. Of course, we talked about the decorations there yesterday, and that is going to continue to be a cause for concern as we're seeing a lot of this really starting to get blown away just a little bit, as you can see here in this video. And of course, you could see that right there, some of those downed trees and places near Lewiston, and especially as we're looking up in certain places further up north, and then we're going to continue to see further west. A lot of these winds have really started to ramp up between 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts, and we're also seeing that in portions there and further eastward as we're heading closer to Pocatello. And we've already seen very active conditions here on our satellite and radar picture here early on this morning. Saw some thunderstorms roll through there, and that's what's caused a little bit more of those power outages along with some of the winds. We're seeing that across the Magic Valleys. You have some scattered thunderstorms in some of these areas there closer in through Gooding. And of course, these wind speeds really started to ramp up as we're getting closer to 25 mile per hour sustained winds. Some of these gusty conditions have also started to pick up. And especially, again, as I mentioned, further out east in through Jerome and Twin Falls is where we're going to see some of the stronger winds. But as we look at our future cast here, we're going to start to see that a little bit more, little bit later on in through the afternoon on our Wednesday. We are going to start to see that some of those windier conditions will stick around, but we'll stay relatively dry as we get a brief break from some of the wet and wintry weather here as we get towards the rest of this evening. But as we head on into Thursday, that's where we see a chance for some of those valley spots to get a very, very light chance of some snow that comes along. Not a lot of it sticks around, and we're not expecting a huge amount of accumulation, but we are expecting that to really roll through. We'll start to see a lot more of that snow start to stack up here through Thursday morning. Then those snow levels will start to rise as we have warmer temperatures coming in through tomorrow afternoon. And then very quickly, we'll start to see that start to make its way on out through Friday. And then we could see some on and off showers as we'll see scattered precipitation here across the Treasure and Magic Valleys. And then we're going to start to see that a little bit less there in portions of the mountains. Now, a quick thing to note is we're going to see a wide range of some of these snow potential totals as we are going to see some fluctuating snow levels here through the next couple of days. So again, as we fast forward here through our Thursday, we're starting to see a little bit lower chances there as we're going to get maybe about 2 to 3 inches in some of these spots up in higher elevations, getting closer to 6 to 10 inches. And then we'll start to see that really start to stack up. And just to give you an idea, right now, a lot of the models are showing anywhere between 6 to 22 inches of snow as we get all the way through Saturday. So again, you could just kind of tell by the range there of how difficult it's going to be to really forecast here into the next couple of days for the snow up in portions of the mountains. We'll continue with some of the shower chances here all the way through Friday, but even as we continue on through Saturday and Sunday, those shower chances continue, but it's going to be a lot less than what we've seen here for today, what we're going to see for tomorrow, and what we're expecting here for our Friday. So just to recap here on our 7-day forecast for Twin Falls, we're going to see those warmer temperatures continue all the way through Tuesday, and active weather will continue in through next week. And that's pretty similar for what we're going to see in Boise. And again, the chance of some showers here in terms of snow for Thursday, and then we'll continue that here in through Thursday afternoon.
Thank you, Hector. Yes, the Northwest is very active, and we're not done yet. Up next, we are going to head to Portland, where an atmospheric river is set to bring heavy rain in the next day. The timing of that is coming up after this break. Welcome back. Oregon will now be the focus for tomorrow as an atmospheric river is set to bring heavy rain. Meteorologist Rod Hill is in Portland with the timing and potential impacts.
Welcome to the Rose City on this Wednesday. Our big story this morning on our newscast, the wind that we had last night. We expected this fast-moving front to produce heavy rain and wind, and in the wind department, it overproduced. I was calling for 45-mile-per-hour winds. We had 55-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Portland at about 1:30 a.m. A lot of uprooted trees, power outages because of that, schools closed because of power outages, all of that mess. Anyway, our weather during the day today, which I'll take you through, is actually pretty nice. Partly cloudy, some scattered showers. In green, this is our next chapter. This is the flood watch that will go into effect later overnight tonight into Thursday morning, with heavy rain coming in Thursday, breaking up going into Friday. But the flood watch is up for Thursday and Friday because of rising river levels, etc. And for the most part, everything else on the map, certainly the red and the oranges, are tied to ongoing wind advisories and warnings that we have up early this morning. So again, our next big headline for Portland is the Thursday, Friday KGW impact alert for the flood watch, the heavy rain totals, high water spots. Of course, it's going to be difficult to be out working tomorrow in the rain because it's really going to be coming down nonstop and at a pretty good clip. This morning, our wind threat, as I mentioned, is over. We're noticeably breezy, southwest in Hillsboro to 24 miles per hour, but those winds are going to continue to fade away. And I think happening more rapidly than what the Weather Service was projecting even are the fading wind speeds across eastern Oregon. At about 5 or 6 a.m. this morning, we had 60, 65 mile per hour winds in the Dalles out into Pendleton, but you can see how those wind speeds have really backed off. Another part of our weather story, there are many chapters. We finally have snow up in the Cascades. Hip, hip, hooray. Snow level down to 3,000 feet this morning. A couple inches of snow on the ground at Timberline, and that's at least a handful of inches over Santiam Pass, making for slow travel. I mentioned it's a scattered shower day, and we actually have had a few lightning strikes just inland along the coast. Futurecast this morning, futurecast this afternoon showing the number of showers decreasing during the day. And then 3 a.m. overnight tonight, here's a wave of all that rain that we think will lead to high water spots and rising river levels Thursday night into Friday morning. The blue is snow. It will start tomorrow morning with heavy snow over the Cascades, but eventually snow levels go to 7,000 feet. Everything changes to rain. And see the yellow and the orange? That's not just steady rain. That's a heavy rain rate. I mean, the model's basically like Portland getting 1.5 inches of rain just tomorrow. And again, breaking up Thursday overnight into Friday morning. Now, 24 hours ago, it looked like the steady rain would last into Friday morning, but now the models break it up. So Friday would be scattered showers. and hopefully not too many problems, but again, high water spots by late Thursday, rising river levels into Friday, absolutely expected. How much water are we talking? The models continue to show the heaviest rain amounts south of Portland. This shows about 3 inches in Corvallis, Portland 1.82, and again, most of that would simply come during the day on Thursday. Our cameras from our coast in Lincoln City, Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera. Again, we have a partly cloudy scattered shower day. It's really pretty nice. There's our state capital down in Salem and our 7-day forecast. Portland 49 today as we have cooled down. 55 tomorrow with the steady rain, the flood watch, the impact alert into Friday. Scattered showers Saturday. Sunday rain picks up and it's pretty wet really Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
A lot going on in the Northwest. Well, when we come back, we are going to head a little farther south, Denver and Phoenix, where some areas are watching the elevated risk for fire. We'll have those details after the break. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us on Weather Out West. Wind has been the big focus for many of our West Coast communities, and Colorado is not immune to that. Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle are in Denver monitoring what that means for fire risk.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We're tracking a big change in our weather today with a weather impact alert issued for a fast-moving storm system that will generate a little bit of mountain snow, but a whole lot of wind. And with the ongoing drought, above average temperature trend, low humidity values, we're looking at critical fire weather setup for today. We have red flag warnings posted and high wind warnings posted. And in the mountains, even though we're seeing beneficial snow, areas of blowing snow could really complicate travel on I-70 today. This fast-moving system will have very little moisture left over for the Front Range and Eastern Plains. So we're really going to focus on the foothills with the wind ramping up during the day, translating down to the surface out of the west and northwest. And again, some gusts could exceed 60 and 70 miles per hour. The potential for a 90-mile-per-hour wind gust would certainly bring down a power line or a tree. Red flag warnings continue for the I-25 corridor today, including Denver, Boulder, Greeley, and Fort Collins, also under a high wind warning. Northeastern Colorado under a high wind watch. This will be probably the most problematic weather day of the week, so we just all need to be prepared and be aware and alert. In the mountains, snow and blowing snow along the Front Range and foothills. We just have to be really worried about fire danger all the way through the afternoon into the evening. If we're lucky, maybe a couple of sprinkles when this system passes late in the day, but it looks like all the really impactful moisture stays in the mountains with 1 to 4 inches of snow and a winter weather advisory expected for the Rabbit Ears Pass area and Rocky Mountain National Park. So in Denver, we start this morning in the 30s. Temperatures soar 20 degrees above average again in the mid 60s today. Weather impact alert. And then tomorrow, with the passage of the front, a cooler, calmer day ahead of a warming trend taking us into the weekend when we welcome in winter. The winter solstice at 8:03 on Sunday morning, and the first few days of the new season running very warm and dry yet again.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. A very powerful storm system impacting a big portion of the country, over 30 million Americans under high wind warnings. And here in Colorado, the National Weather Service issuing red flag warnings and high wind warnings in place through this afternoon and tonight. Wind gusts upwards of 85 miles per hour possible. Also some winter weather up over our northern mountains will bring around 4 to 10 inches of snow accumulation. Here across the Denver metro area, high winds could lead to power outages, down trees, also into the foothills and mountains. You want to secure objects here across town that won't be blown away because winds could reach over 45 miles per hour at times, and this wind event will last through the afternoon and tonight. Critical fire weather. We've seen drought conditions increase here across the plains. High winds, low relative humidity. Also, winter driving conditions over Colorado's high country may lead to difficult travel through the course of today and tonight. Some colder air associated with this front that will continue to impact. Really, it's a cross-country storm system, so that'll I'll move across the east coast. We'll be left with another ridge of high pressure here for the Colorado region and also off to the west. So with that, we're looking ahead to temperatures. Today, unseasonably warm, upper 60s, gusty winds, low relative humidity. Tomorrow, slightly cooler, still breezy, upper 40s. But usually this time of the year, Denver sees a high of 43 on average, well above that. And dreaming of a white Christmas here in Colorado, the mountains, of course, we're picking up some snow. But at least in Denver, what constitutes a white Christmas, an inch of snow or more on the ground. Snow falling on Christmas Day is pretty unlikely here historically, around 14%. The heaviest snowfall we have seen on record, 7.8 inches back in 2007. Unfortunately, as we look ahead to next week, next Thursday, we're not looking at really any precipitation heading our way here for the metro area. It's just going to be warm, dry, but today we'll get through the winds, and then hopefully the dangers, especially associated with those high winds, will diminish for tomorrow.
Thanks, Katie. Well, thank goodness for Arizona bringing a really easy, comfortable forecast. Ginger Jeffries is in Phoenix with the mild conditions there.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. A look at weather out west across Arizona, where I say we are the envy of the nation. Now, if you talk to some of the locals, some folks saying it's too warm for this time of the year. But you know what? The complaint box is closed when I am feeding up 70-degree temperatures. And yes, that's what we're going for again today, albeit this is well above the normal range. For us this time of the year, mid-60s. Cruising in the mid-60s, that's kind of our standard MO. In fact, traditionally, December is one of the coolest month out of the year, with an average temperature of 66 to 67 degrees. Well, we started out December on the cool side, even had a little bit of rain to close out November. But since then, we have been riding well above the normal range, seeing back-to-back records on Sunday and Monday. And I think more record temperatures are back in the works for us by this upcoming weekend into next week. So across the state, you'll notice one thing: plenty of sunshine. Yep, we've got 80 still going on today in Yuma, 76 in Bullhead City. Those winds have tapered off. 61 in Flagstaff. I know this is snow country for us folks. Overnight, still getting into the sub-freezing zone, so great man-made snow going on, just none of the fresh stuff. I've got 72 today in Safford, 78 in Tucson, and overhead the comfort zone of 76 degrees. Looking ahead, what's happening? Our temperatures are beginning to trend up. In fact, by Friday, we're back up to about 80 degrees. We're going to revisit that number again on Sunday. So where do the records stand? Well, for the next few days, records are healthy. They're mid to upper 80s. But then by the time we get into Saturday, our records start coming down and our daytime highs start going up. So look at this. I think we are going to beat a record once again on Sunday. I think Monday we're going to smash a record. And next Tuesday, even though we're only going for a high of 79 degrees, that should be enough to meet the record. So yes, more record temperatures are in the forecast for you. In fact, as we extend it out 6 to 10 days, you can see we're still playing above the rim, but then here we go. As we get into the latter part of next week, so I'm talking right around Christmas, we've got a good chance at some rain developing. Right now, I know 20%, I say good chance. We're a desert. Anytime we even see 10% chance, we start to really hone in on what's developing. And what we've got happening, high pressure is stagnant. It's off the coastline. It's keeping those skies clear. But then as we fast forward, notice this is for December 17th. So we're getting into next week as we get closer to the 22nd, into the 24th and 25th. We've got this low approaching off the coastline, and all that moisture will be moving onshore. We'll definitely see some wind. This is a cold wind. You see all those wind vectors? So the winds are up, temperatures will start coming down, and we've got that opportunity for rain starting to move in. Until that time, the jet stream cutting us off from all that action, and this continued atmospheric river continues to pummel the Pacific Northwest. So yeah, more flooding conditions. In fact, we've been seeing the White River cresting and some with over 20 inches of rain. My goodness. So folks, be thankful for what I'm bringing you. We've got nice and sunny conditions today with temperatures once again a little bit above the normal range, not just for the valley, but the mountains as well. We've got 60s for the next 7 days here in the valley. Get ready. 80s making a comeback by Friday.
Ginger, I know everyone in the Northwest is not complaining about those 70s. In fact, they're probably envious. Well, speaking of envious, we can't leave out San Diego. When we come back, we may have saved the best for last with Phoenix and San Diego as well. San Diego's sunny forecast is up next. All right, let's get now to San Diego, where conditions are beautiful as expected. Meteorologist Vanessa Paz is bringing us the forecast that we are all going to be envious of.
Happy Wednesday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. This is a view of what San Diego has been dealing with over the past several mornings. Pockets of very dense fog that eventually mix out, making way to sunny skies, especially for areas away from the coast. We'll pretty much be in a rinse and repeat of that in the coming days. Coastal clouds continuing to take over our mornings. Today will be mild before we have a warm end to the work week, and we could potentially see a wet Christmas ahead for us here in San Diego. All right, we are expecting another somewhat mild day, warmer, especially for those areas away from the coast. Yesterday was another straight day that we broke records for the inland or the mountains and desert areas, rather. We easily beat the old records set in Campo and Borrego Springs back in the high 90s and early 2000s, with a high of 86 degrees and 85 yesterday afternoon. And Lake Cuyamaca beat their old record of 60s with a high of 73 yesterday. Here's what's on tap for today's highs. Similar, slightly comparable to what we experienced yesterday, and forecasting mostly mid to high 70s for the inland valleys, close to 80 degrees for spots like Santee as well as El Cajon. We're about 10 degrees cooler when it comes to the immediate coast. La Jolla, for example, forecasting a high of 62 later on today. That will be one of the cooler spots across the coastal communities. Meanwhile, mostly mid to high 60s from Oceanside all the way down to Del Mar, and anywhere between 5 to about 8 degrees warmer for those neighborhoods that hug the 15 corridor from Fallbrook all the way down to Rancho Bernardo. 77 later on today for Escondido, and 75 out in Poway. As we take a look at the mountain areas, we will be nice and mild in Mount Laguna in the low 70s, a little warmer in Alpine, 77 degrees, 73 later on today out in Julian. Onshore flow, we have this weak onshore flow, kind of more of this northerly flow that will continue to filter in later on this afternoon. Isolated gusts anywhere between 10 to 20 miles per hour, so nice sea breeze for those neighborhoods west of the mountains. And then winds gradually start to shift out of the east. So offshore flow makes a return Thursday and Friday, and that's going to warm things up for us as we wrap up the work week. So here's what's on tap for tomorrow's highs. It will be warmer, especially for the inland valleys. We'll be touching into the mid 80s, high 70s for the mountain areas, and low 80s for our deserts. And these numbers still well exceed where we should be for this time of year. Coastal areas will be in the low 70s later on to tomorrow afternoon. As we take a look at the rain chances, notice how we don't have a shot of rain all the way through about Monday, but on Tuesday, that number starts to climb. All right, as we take a look at the big picture, high pressure keeping that storm track to our north in the coming days all the way through the weekend. But we do have this system that's brewing off the coast of British Columbia that's going to eventually drop south, cut off low from the jet stream. That's going to bring us some possible showers as early as Tuesday, but it looks like the bulk of activity could potentially be Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Those models will change as we get closer to next week, but as of right now, some of our models are becoming ambitious, showing that we could have some wet weather in time for our holidays. All right, coastal and inland areas look like this. As I mentioned, we do have some warming tomorrow, lasting all the way through Friday, and the temperatures will start to drop, some noticeable cooling by the time we get to the weekend. Here's a quick look at what you can expect for the mountains and deserts.
Thank you, Vanessa. Well, before we head to break, let's take a look at what is happening nationally. Here is meteorologist Carly Smith with the Weather Impact Team.
I'm meteorologist Carly Smith with your weather impact update. And yes, we are tracking some rainfall. South Texas getting in some rain on this Wednesday. There is a flooding risk for the Pacific Northwest once again, particularly Thursday. So we're going to see the highest rainfall amounts right there along the coast to the northwest through Texas. South Texas kind of the target throughout the day today. That storm system will continue to move into the southeast, and we do have a cold front that's on the way as well. So you'll see that cold front front making its way across the Rocky Mountains throughout the day. Today, we see this coastal trough in Texas. That's the reason for those coastal showers across South Texas, and then that will continue up into the southeast ahead of that next storm system. High pressure is something we're actually going to watch building behind the cold front. As this high pressure builds, we clear conditions out, but there's that atmospheric river Thursday into Friday that's going to keep pumping rainfall into those areas of the Pacific Northwest. Some snow expected across the Rockies and those northern states such as North Dakota, and then into the Midwest. We'll see some lake effect snow into the weekend as well. High temperatures for today: Seattle rainy 47, Houston rainy 72. We'll see Minneapolis just staying at 37 degrees. We are looking at New Orleans around 67. So let's talk about the pattern, right? So we have some dips in the jet stream the rest of this week. That's the reason for the rainfall. You'll see a trough here into Thursday, but it's this high pressure that's going to cause some heat as we look ahead to the week of Christmas. We're looking at much of the United States with above normal temperatures. But for now, your 3-day forecast. We'll start with a look across the Pacific Northwest. Maybe the data will load. There it goes. We've got 40s for Seattle, Spokane 40s as well, and some 50s there through Portland, Oregon. Sacramento will be in the 50s by Thursday and Friday. Phoenix warming up into Friday. 80s are on the map. Across Texas, we're going to stay in the 60s for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. 82 in Corpus Christi Thursday before that cold front swings through into Friday. The 3-day forecast across the southeast, some rain there for Tampa and portions of the southeast into Thursday. Atlanta 60 with some rain on Thursday. We see some rain across the Midwest there as well. St. Louis 54 on Thursday, but falling with that front to a high of just 38 degrees by Friday. Taking a look across the northern portion of the Midwest, we're going to see those temperatures falling as well. 25 Grand Rapids there into Friday, 33 in Buffalo, New York on Friday. Overall, some chilly temperatures with that low pressure trough digging south and providing some snowfall for the Midwest in the days to come.
Well, Christmas is almost here. Hard to believe. I hope you've done your Christmas shopping. While Santa may lead the sleigh, he can't do it alone. After the break, we are going to take you to a reindeer ranch. Welcome back. The National Weather Service is working to hire back hundreds of positions laid off by the Trump administration. But the effort is progressing slowly as the nation heads into another winter storm season. Only about 80 final job offers have been accepted for meteorologists, hydrologists, and other specialized staff. The agency received permission in late July to add a total of 450 people. That came after roughly 550 positions were cut by the Department of Government Efficiency. The decision to authorize new hires follows concerns from lawmakers and citizens about how National Weather Service cuts would impact public safety. And more than 200,000 glaciers exist on Earth, but experts say climate change has made thousands of them disappear over the past few decades. A new report suggests as the planet continues to heat up, the pace of glacier extinction is expected to pick up as well. Researchers predict by the middle of the century, up to 4,000 glaciers a year will go away. One of the study's authors says climate change does not just lead to some ice melt, but leads to the complete extinction of many glaciers. Well, Christmas is right around the corner, and for kids, Santa is the star of the show, of course, but he couldn't deliver all of those presents without his magical flying reindeer. Alyssa Patrick took a tour of a farm in Illinois where kids and adults alike can meet real reindeer close up.
Step out of central Illinois and into a Christmas card.
If you can follow me in again, just be careful with your step. On the weekend, we have a little cafe open like that. And so, some good tasty food, some Christmas trees that we sell, beautiful Fraser firs, hot cocoa, sugar cookies.
It's picture perfect at the Reindeer Ranch, complete with a potbelly stove, a Christmas tree farm, and of course, the stars of the show, the reindeer.
It amazes, and I mentioned it amazes. I think a lot of the adults are more surprised how much they enjoy it, and I do say they're magical.
For the past 30 years, the Hardys have been welcoming families to meet their reindeer and learn about the majestic animals.
We work very hard not only to show people these wonderful animals, but also educate people how we've done it, how we raise them, and how we care for them.
Like, did you know reindeer have an extra tendon in their legs that clicks when they walk? Experts think it's to help the animals stay together in blizzard conditions. And it may also be inspiration for the Christmas tune.
Up on the housetop, down through the chimney with good sense.
So how did these Alaskan reindeer get to Rantoul?
My previous life before this, I was kind of in sales and marketing, and so I married this guy with a Christmas tree farm.
Julie knew she had to come up with something unique to market the family farm.
So I said, let's go to Alaska and buy a herd of reindeer. I think it might be a great attraction. It's so unique that a lot of people don't know they exist, really. And so we pioneered kind of learning how to raise them on a Midwest farm.
Thank you. You're welcome. Now each year, thousands of visitors come to meet the reindeer, learn about the animals, and feed them treats of oats and graham crackers. And if you're feeling brave, give them a reindeer kiss.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we did it.
Generations of families that came when they were babies. Now they're bringing their kids and their grandkids. And so it's fabulous to see people's faces every year. It does feel like our family, but also our reindeer family. You know, the generations that we have raised. There's such magical things about these animals, but it is the effect that they have on people. How friendly they are and how it delights people. Hi there. It really makes our season very merry here as well.
Oh, it's so fun to see. And there are other reindeer farms as well. I know I've been to one in Leavenworth, right in the middle of Washington State. I'm sure there are others as well. So fun to see, to get into the holiday spirit. Well, that does it for us here on Weather Out West on this Wednesday, December 17th. What are we, a week away from Christmas? I hope everybody finishes up their Christmas shopping, has safe travels for the holiday, and have a great day. Once again, I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti. Thanks for sticking with us for the last hour. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.